Returning from the district of Tyre, he went by way of Sidon towards the Sea of Galilee, right through the Decapolis region. And they brought him a deaf man who had an impediment in his speech, and they asked him to lay his hands on him. He took him aside in private, away from the crowd, put his finger in the man's ears, and touched his tongue with spittle. Then looking up to heaven, he sighed, and he said, Ephphatha, that is, be opened. And his ears were opened, and the ligament of his tongue was loosened, and he spoke clearly. And Jesus ordered them to tell no one about it. But the more he insisted, the more widely they published it. Their admiration was unbounded. He has done all things well, they said. He makes the deaf hear and the dumb speak. So here's this deaf man, and the apostles see the moment. They take the deaf man to Jesus, and Jesus performs a miracle. You can imagine the man's joy. I can hear, I can speak. Because to us, of course, language and communication are key things. He'd probably been trying to use sign language or just making guttural noises before this. Jesus says to them, don't tell anyone. Just keep it private. I guess he didn't want more and more and more crowds coming to him. He needed his own space at times. And he also didn't want to be the big thing, because Jesus knew that God was the big thing. If I put myself for a moment in the place of the deaf man, I ask myself the question, do I go to Jesus in my need? Do I ask Jesus to enter into my life at that intimate level where he actually puts spittle on the man's tongue? Am I open to receiving the Lord? In a way, I suppose at Eucharist I receive the Lord in that way. Something comes onto my tongue. But it's also metaphorical. And then the deaf man's joy when he was healed. He recognized the value of hearing. He recognized that his life would be fuller now, and he would be more able to participate in the wider community. He knew that life is precious. Our theme for this month on Inspirational TV is Life is Precious. And I think this gospel sets up that whole theme really well. I ask myself, how often do I invite others to live life more fully? Do I ever think of going to someone in the neighbourhood, maybe someone who's got a few children and is a single parent, and maybe just sharing a cup of tea with them, or dropping in to say how are things going, or taking the children out on a Sunday afternoon to play in the park, or even one of the children. All those things give people a message that their life is important to you, and therefore they are important, and life is precious. And the other group of people I think of are those that we describe as mentally ill, or those who have psychiatric conditions. They are often very lonely people. And I wonder what the apostles would have done with them. Would they have brought them to Jesus too? So that he could make their life fuller and they could realize that they're precious and their lives are precious. So just sitting with a person like that, even for half an hour, and paying full attention to them and listening to where they're at. that can help them realise the value of their life, and who knows what it might avert. So this little gospel can be unpacked in various ways. The man allowed Jesus to touch him. Can I allow Jesus to touch me in my life?